podcast, Real Water Cooler Talk Shows on YouTube. I'm Trevor, back from vacation and then sickness and then work, back from the dead, here for a show tonight. It's just Myers joining me, but we have a lot to discuss. Texas just took their first loss of the season to the Georgia Bulldogs in a disappointing game. And now they play one of the hot teams in the SEC in Vanderbilt, which those words I never thought would come out of my mouth, but here we are. And they got a game here this Saturday afternoon. So we're gonna definitely spend probably a majority of this video recapping the Georgia game because so much happened, and obviously we have a lot of thoughts, as I'm sure you do too in the comments. So comment below. But then we'll definitely make sure to hit up on Vandy towards the end of the show. So with all that said, like, comment, subscribe, all the usual. We appreciate when you do so please do. And I'm going to hand it off to Myers. Myers was fortunate or unfortunate enough, depends on how you look at it, to attend Texas versus Georgia in Austin. Myers, tell me about how that was for you, and then let's get into the game.
It was fun, man. It was a great experience, very electric as you'd expect, DKR. And the crowd was really just trying to get into it, but it was hard with our offense, just struggling so much all night long. But no, it was a great game day experience. Tailgating was fun. Um, Georgia traveled pretty well, so it was cool to interact with them. But yeah, it was great up until about midway through the first quarter when I realized that we can't even get a first down. Um, we just got completely out game planned, out physical, especially in the trenches, and um, a lot of our weaknesses, Kirby Smart took advantage of. You could tell that Kirby was kind of saving up for this game based on the way he was talking after the game. It's like as if they had won, like a championship or something, which I totally get. They were disrespected all week, and everybody was crowning Texas, and Georgia proved that they're still the top team in the SEC. So, but yeah, just very disappointing on offense. Offensive line kind of got whipped for the first time in a couple years. Cam Williams definitely had a terrible day. But Sark didn't help him. Sark didn't try to establish the run early. Quinn played probably his worst game, and we'll go into that more, that I've seen out of him probably ever. Like, it's so discouraging to see Quinn Ewers these days after the injury. Um, but silver lining was our defense, which was the biggest question mark going into this first real matchup. Our defense is legit. They did all they could. They forced turnovers where they could. They got off the field where they could, even though they were put in horrible, horrible spots all night long because we kept turning the ball over on offense and couldn't put together drives or many points. So shout out our defense, shout out our D line. Jade Barron played phenomenal. Secondary played great. So
Yeah.
that's something we can build on going forward. Just got to clean the offense up. But yeah, first thoughts were just such a disappointment. Just like TCU a couple years ago, we have this huge primetime matchup at home in DKR, and we just completely just don't even show up. So it sucks. It sucks. It's annoying, but season's still wide open for us. Still control our own destiny. So hopefully this lights a fire under our team and we bounce back.
Yeah, that's certainly the hope. I did not expect the result that happened. I don't think anyone did. Even on game day, I think it was a unanimous Texas pick for all the pickers, which is kind of crazy. I mean, yeah, Georgia obviously deserved a little more respect than what people were giving them heading into the game. I will say this though, not that I've looked super hard, but from what I've heard, every like Georgia insider that like covers this team and follows the ins and outs of it, they were all like, we haven't seen this on defense. Like it was like a total coming out party for the Georgia defense. And offensively, they couldn't do much. I mean, they benefited from good, positioning because of our offensive turnovers. Um, they were within, often sometimes even the red zone where, there were a couple turnovers where they were pretty much already at the doorstep. And there was one big drive probably when it mattered most, where, they had this great fake on fourth down, and that, is probably the play of the game because if they don't get that first down, I think it's a ball game. I think Texas gets the ball back and scores. But yeah, I mean, the the big the big focus point here is the offense, is Quinn Ewers, um, is Sark. I think the two of them have recently struggled to get on the same page. It's kind of hard to pick who to blame. I would say definitely Ewers. Ewers is probably the main guy to blame here, but you some of that has to be on Sark too for, understanding that, hey, his quarterback right now is not in the right place in terms of playing the position at this moment, and got to be able to help him out or figure out ways to be a little more creative. I was shocked. The opening two drives of the game, I was like, what is this? Like, this is so vanilla. Like, big games with Sark, he's dialing it up. Like, he's known for his opening script. And credit to Georgia, obviously, they came with, you know, really bad intentions to shut us down, and they did so. But like, I don't know. It seemed incredibly vanilla, and part of that's on Quinn for checking the ball down pretty much every play that he ever got a pass off. But at the same time, I don't know. It was not a very I wasn't impressed with the game plan, and obviously I wasn't impressed with Quinn. Um, but yeah, defense definitely did their part. I believe they, intercepted back three times. You can't really ask for anything better than that. Yeah, shout out Baron Sorrell. I think he had the best game of his career at Texas. Jahdae Barron, obviously. Makuba, I hope he's not injured for long. But he had a great game. Our secondary, yeah, like you said, is just absolutely balling. That's one of the toughest tests right now because Georgia, that's their strength, is their receiving core, and really didn't see any outside of that, fake play on fourth down. I didn't really see any long passes or receivers getting much yak off of a pass. So defense did their part. I think if Quinn had just an average game, Texas would have run away with this game. Um, but that didn't happen. So let's get into Quinn more because that's what's boiling under the surface right now. Myers, how would you categorize what's been going on with Quinn? Because this is, the Oklahoma game, he looked pretty pedestrian as well. It's really ever since he came back from this injury, and um, just doesn't look himself. If anything, he's regressed back to some very bad habits, and really seems to be lacking in confidence too.
Yeah, it's at this point, I think we just need to realize that this is who Quinn Ewers is. He's very up and down. He's very streaky. He does not have a great pocket presence at all, average at best. He's not athletic enough to evade SEC defenders when he's under pressure. And he's prone to get hurt, which clearly sets him back psychologically because he comes back from these injuries looking terrified to take a hit, always looking at the pass rush, missing open guys, just so quick to go to his check down. And I don't know, it sucks because Quinn did show signs of improvement, early on in the year, albeit against not Georgia, but Michigan's a good defense, and I thought he played well at Michigan, played really good at Michigan. But now he just takes a hit and gets hurt, and it's just the same cycle over again. And we're having the same conversations, and it wasn't all just on him. The O-line, running backs didn't do great in blitz pickups in certain spots. Shout out to the Georgia defense. They were doing a bunch of pre-snap shifts that we had never seen before that confused our offense, confused Quinn. With like 1 to 2, 3 seconds before the snap, you have to process all this changing and different looks. That's tough. That's tough to handle. And they put Arch in there, which I also want to comment on. I hate how Like pulling Quinn is fine. I was totally fine with that. He wasn't doing anything. But I hate how you put Arch in for 2 series, go out there and get him killed, and then pull him. That's like the recipe to scar a young quarterback. You don't do that. If you're putting Arch in, you let him finish the game out. Like that's my philosophy. And I know Sark knows more about quarterback development than I do, but that's like 101. Like if when you throw in a young guy, you let go in there and let him take his lumps. Don't kill his confidence, scar him, and then pull him like on a tiny leash. I hated that move. And Arch was able to at least scramble, navigate the pocket better. He's not scared to step up into the pocket. He's not afraid typically to go downfield. I know he didn't against Georgia, but in the past, Arches were more explosive in offense with Arch. So I'm kind of indifferent if Quinn comes out slow against Vanderbilt and we want to go to Arch and move on. At this point, like I'd be happy to see that. But I expect Quinn to bounce back. Of course, he's still a good quarterback. He's just I don't think he's as good as we thought he was. And that's that's a that's a sad realization at this point because his team is so good around him that it could be Quinn holding us back. So I don't know. I'll pass it to you, Trevor. How are you feeling about the Quinn Arch dilemma right now?
Not great. To be honest, uh, I think you're right, and I think some Texas fans have, or onlookers of Texas have picked up on that for years. For instance, my father in particular has always been very critical of Quinn Ewers and just has never liked him. I mean, not personally, but as a player. The mechanics are always something that drives him up a wall. I agree. Um, the inconsistencies, the inability to connect on a deep ball. I mean, he has a lot of flaws. Is he a very talented, you know, player? Yes. In terms of the intermediate passes and when you get him in a rhythm, he's pretty good. Um, but the flaws have always been there. And it started to look like those were kind of shifting away at the beginning of the season, but then the injury happens. He strains his abdomen on some freak thing. I heard reports that it's something that even happened earlier on that just got re-aggravated all of a sudden in the middle of, I believe, the UTSA game. Um, he's out for a few weeks, comes back. Everyone's like, he's 100%. He's not injured. He's good to go. And then against Oklahoma, he just looked very pedestrian, throws a horrible interception. Um, missed Bond a few times. Um, just couldn't do anything. And against an Oklahoma team that really is, as we're finding out, is really bad, which I guess doesn't surprise us. But, you know, um, that was kind of a big concern. And I think a lot of us, last week chalked it up to, or 2 weeks ago now, chalked it up to like, oh, a little bit of rust coming off of the game, yada, yada, yada. He'll be fine. He'll be ready for Georgia. But that wasn't the case when he came off of the injury his freshman year and played in the OU game. He was money in that game. So I don't. And then now after Georgia, there's this narrative of, oh, Quinn's hurt. Quinn said it himself. He's like, yo, I'm hurt. Like this is affecting my play. I think that's all BS personally. I don't know, so who am I to really judge? But if you ask me, I don't think that's the case. My guess is he's trying to save his draft stock and he needs an excuse to account for what's been happening. I think it's all mental. I think he got hurt, strained his abdomen, and now he's scared to get hurt again. And I don't blame him. Like, that's a very natural feeling. I would say that 99% of us out here would be in that exact same position. Problem is, you're the quarterback at the University of Texas and on a top five team. You are the 1%, or you should be the 1% that has that ability to be able to put that aside and play the position. A little bit critical, I guess, but uh, it's the truth. And, you know, special position to be quarterback at the University of Texas or any college football team for that matter. So yeah, I'm kind of talking in circles here, but yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about him. I think his confidence is shot right now. He got pulled. That's not great for him. I think it helped him, kind of allowed him to reset. And then when Sark put him back in the second half, he looked much better. Um, but man, this is turning into kind of a disaster season for Quinn. I mean, he was starting out so good. Draft stock was looking great. You know, tweets out that video of him like doing all these crazy throws and hitting like pennies thrown in the air. Like, there's definite hype. There's Heisman hype. Then he gets hurt, and then the narrative's like, oh, he's injury prone. He's still injury prone. He's not going to finish a season where he hasn't been hurt. And then now he can't do anything. And I don't know if Arch is the answer either. I don't know if Arch is fully ready. My guess is his ceiling's a lot higher than Quinn, but um, I don't know. He didn't look great against Georgia either, but granted, I did not think he expected to be in that game and definitely came in. You could see in his eyes he was definitely rattled. So not
Yeah.
good. It's a tough position for Sark to figure this out. I think for now you got to continue with Quinn. Sark has invested way too much into him to just bench him his senior year, his year that, well, it's not his senior year, but his third year, big draft year for him. But at the same time, you might have to if he continues to play at this level. Um, I don't know. Maybe a change of scenery would be good for Quinn if this year doesn't finish out on a positive note. Uh, Pretty disappointing, but it's the reality of what we're going through at the moment.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, like on a human level. Like
Oh, for
all the
sure.
NFL scouts were there, and his primetime game, and
Horrible.
that was his performance. Yeah, he's definitely lost a lot of money, but I mean, he's doing every sponsorship, ad, NIL deal in the book, so I think he's okay when it comes to money, overall. But yeah, I just before we move on, I'll say this with Arch. Um, the offense is noticeably, at least not passing wise, more explosive with Arch because he's able to go downfield. He's able to extend plays and improvise. Um, I honestly believe that Arch diagnoses and goes through reads, from what I've seen in limited action, a little bit quicker than Quinn does. He's able to get from read 2 to 3 a lot more smooth and quick than Quinn. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I feel like really the last couple years that our offense has been good, mainly because we've had good great running backs.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've had left a lot to be desired through the air overall as a passing offense, considering it's a Sark offense and we have Xavier Worthy, we have AD Mitchell. Like we should be putting up stupid video game numbers. That's why you hired Sark to have a video game offense, and we haven't had that. It almost feels like we have a good offense in spite of Quinn Ewers at times. Not all the time. Sometimes he's on and he's cooking, but it feels like more often than not recently in big moments he just kind of regresses to his floor. So I don't know. Hopefully he bounces back, and proves us all wrong. But you know, we're not playing anyone like Georgia. So even if he does well against Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, it's just like, okay, let's see how he does when he plays at Kyle Field against their D line or in the SEC championship or the playoff. So
Yeah.
it just sucks that his reputation took such a big hit Saturday night. But he's got time to get it back, and Sark's going to start him and give him the job, let him continue to drive the car. So hopefully he bounces back.
Yeah. Um, he definitely needs to, not just for our own sake as fans and supporters of the team, but for himself. If pursuing the NFL is something that him and his family are very serious about, you just hope, that he's able to bounce back and go on a little comeback thing. And the frustrating thing is you know that he's capable of it. Like he seems like a good guy with a good head on his shoulders, and you've seen the skill. and he'll show up in some games. It's just that inconsistency that gets you. And right now he's in a slump. And when we talk about the Vanderbilt game, hopefully this is a tune-up game for him where he gets that confidence and mojo back and gets back in a rhythm. I don't know if that's what we're going to see. In fact, I can tell you already that Myers and I already are feeling a little bit worried about this game, but um, it should be that, and let's certainly hope that it is for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said when we started this video, the whole season's still like out there for us. Like we're still very much in play for the SEC championship, very much in play for the playoff, and this could be the best thing that ever happened to us. This could
Sure.
be the that unites us, and everybody was crowning us like crazy going into that Georgia game, like the game day segments. Everyone picked Texas over Georgia. Like that doesn't just happen. So it was a lot of rat poison out there, and it's good, I guess, to get humbled. And I like Sark's quote. He said, um, "You'd rather get knocked out in round six or knocked down in round six than round 12." So a lot of time for Texas to right these wrongs. I think Georgia really did a good job of educating our staff on our deficiencies in certain areas. So now they'll be able to address them going forward. Specifically, I think Sark needs to really be adamant on establishing the run game more
Yeah.
uh, downhill, and letting our offensive line lean on people. I mean, it seemed like we were scared of Georgia. We never. I know we don't have Baxter or Brooks or Bijan. I know Wisner is probably our best version of a bell cow, but like let our offensive line go and fight these guys in a phone booth,
Yeah.
and we got one of the best O lines in the country, and I hate how we just kind of ran away from that challenge. That's very unlike us in the past. So and
Mhm.
that'll happen when you're the number one team. We don't have that underdog edge like we used to, which is no, which is natural when you're like at the mountaintop kind of. So I hope that we can channel that going forward and hopefully use this as a motivation, and hopefully we spank Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's a good team. I don't expect that.
Yeah. If we could just touch on the running game real quick, because I think this is the other massive issue with our team right now that's kind of going under the radar because of what's been going on with Quinn. Um, but what the heck is going on with our running back room? Like, there's no consistency whatsoever in a starter. It was Blue to start. He looked great, at the beginning of the season. He was injured for a little bit of it. And then he has that game against Mississippi State where he fumbled twice, I want to say. Um, and ever since then, it's been more Wisner. I know that Myers, you're a fan of Wisner. I think he's good. I don't think he's a bell cow personally. I prefer Blue over him. Um, but and then of course Gibson is now nowhere to be seen. It's kind of frustrating because I actually was really liking him at the beginning of the season, but now he's just not even getting touches. Um, Jaden Blue did not get a single run. He caught passes, but he never got a handoff in the Georgia game. Like your what was your starting running back for the season didn't even get a carry against your biggest opponent of the entire season. Like that does not make sense. And I don't know, maybe all these running backs are going through issues right now, but that has to be figured out. Like these guys are not totally scrubs. Like they looked good earlier in the season. Um, but for whatever reason right now, our running game is just completely in the gutter and all over the place. And there's no consistency. Um, Wisner looked good against Oklahoma, but again, that's Oklahoma. I don't I see that game a little differently now. Um, he did not look great against Georgia at all. Okay, he didn't look horrible, but still, like it was not impressive. And I don't know. I'm bothered by the running game, clearly. So I don't know if you feel the same, but to me, that's like a massive deficiency. And this probably dovetails with Quinn Ewers in his passing game is he doesn't have a running back or anything he can rely on right now as a option B. basically the book on our offense right now is very clearly out there, and it's becoming very easy to just shut us down. Um, because Quinn can't throw the long ball. There's no long ball option. It's pretty much all just like short passes and intermediary, and we can't run the football. So it's like just defend screens and check down passes, and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, they just sat in cover two all night, and Sark never made them adjust by running the ball at him because that's the way to combat cover two is running right at him downhill. And the good thing about this, Trevor, and you're so right, the running game has been non-existent, but I think that we have the ability to establish a run game, even with Wisner and Blue and Gibson in our O line. Um, we just need to have a more concerted effort. I think Sark really, once Baxter went down, made an effort to make this more of a passing offense, a more West Coast offense, sideline to sideline more than downhill, which is different than we
Right.
had last year. Because that was like our steady lifeline last year and even the year before with Bijan. It's like we're going to establish the run game, run to pass, but run to open the pass. And I think that he's kind of abandoned that identity right now. And I think this Georgia game is a good moment for him to realize that we need to reestablish that going forward and lean on our offensive line. And I know they weren't always the best at rush blocking throughout the year, but they're not bad at it, especially like once you get them lathered up against OU, they started moving people in the second quarter. Sometimes they start slow, but I mean, those are a lot of NFL players on our offensive line, and they can move people. You just gotta. It's not going to always be an 8 yard carry. Sometimes it'll be a 2 yard carry, but if you just keep pounding the rock, that the dam will break. So I think Sark's definitely gonna we're gonna notice that against Vanderbilt. I think we'll see a lot more of an effort and an intent to establish a run downhill, and then hopefully that opens things up on the back end. Because yeah, you can't let defenses sit and cover two on Quinn Ewers playing the way he is right now. That's just a disaster waiting to happen, and that's what we saw. We couldn't do anything, couldn't get downfield, and we did have some guys, coming over the middle every now and then that were open on dig routes and stuff, and Quinn just wouldn't get the ball there for whatever reason, wouldn't see it, wouldn't. I don't know. So it was just everything went wrong on offense. Everything went wrong. Ryan Wingo was probably our best receiver Saturday, and but no one really got a chance to make any plays because we throw little out routes. And you can't outrun these Georgia guys to the corner like you can a Colorado State guy. It's not. They have as many or more athletes than we do. So that that was our welcome to the SEC moment. These little gimmick plays don't always work when you're playing at that level. You have to be able to man up and go run downhill and move people, and we can do that. We have the dudes to do that. So I'm hopeful Sark will, um, implement that going forward.
Well said. Any other Georgia thoughts?
No, I just I hope we get to play him again. That was a tough loss. You always
Yeah.
leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Um, Kirby Smart was very emotional after the game. You could tell that was a huge game to him, and I hope Sark takes it personally. Like he took the whole that whole game personally. I hope Sark takes it personally and wants to rematch them in the playoff or CF or SEC title. So
I
we'll
gotta
see.
ask you. I gotta ask you one more thing though. We'll end the Georgia discussion at this, but you were at the game. You saw Bottlegate or whatever people call it happen. You saw it in person. You witnessed it live. Craziest thing I've ever seen on a TV. I do recall. So everyone's like, "Oh, Texas fans don't do this." BS. I remember. I think it was my senior year. We played Maryland at home and we threw fans on the field. I think you were at that game, Myers, but I remember people throwing like paper fans on the field because we were so distraught. So not the first time that trash has been thrown on the field at DKR, but the fact that they didn't throw a flag on the fans and instead changed their ruling on the play, which was incorrect. It was egregious. That's why people were upset in the first place. Um, what was, did you throw anything?
No, I was way up in the nosebleeds. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to do it there. But no, that was wild, and it was just so shocking because like that swung the game, that call, and they ended up getting the call right because that was obviously not pass interference. But the fact that they reversed it after announcing that, I've never seen that in my life. And Aggie and Aggie Twitter and all the OU Sooners that think that Texas just runs like it's a conspiracy to like prop the Longhorns up was probably having a field day with that one. Someone made a phone call to get that call reversed. I want big money donors, but no, it crazy. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Like you said, they got the call right, but it was a bad look for our student section. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least it makes DCAR look like a hostile place to play. I mean, Neyland was throwing golf balls at Lane Kiffin when they were at Ole Miss. So um, that's I guess we're really SEC ready. And I read that they're thinking about banning alcohol sales. I don't know if that was like a fake thing. I saw that on Twitter. And
Wow.
and the fallout of us throwing water bottles on the field. So I guess the SEC wasn't Texas ready for our crazy drunk fans, I guess. But yeah, I mean, what a experience. That was wild.
I heard about students. I don't, again, I don't know if it's legitimate or not, but I heard about students like getting their big ticket revoked because
Yeah.
they were seen throwing water bottles. I think
Yeah.
that's wrong personally. That's too far. Um,
Yeah. There were a lot of
give
water
a
bottles.
warning.
You're gonna revoke half of the student section at that point.
Right, right. Yeah. You can't just ban half of the student section for throwing water bottles. Tell them
Yeah.
not to do it again, but don't revoke their big ticket, you know.
Give them a little slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe community service. But tough game, tough game.
Okay, so now we'll transition over to our Vandy preview. We'll keep it a little bit more brief since we went a while on Georgia. Um, Texas currently favored by 18 and a half. That's a pretty sizable spread that I don't know if we fully deserve. But I guess the books are feeling good about Texas in this matchup. Myers, kind of walk me through your thoughts on this game and kind of what to expect out of Andy from what you've seen so far this year.
Yeah, Clark Lee, coach, got it kind of rolling. And James Franklin had him good for a couple years before he left to Penn State. But no, they found something here with Diego Pavia transferring in from New Mexico State, I want to say, or New Mexico, one of the two.
Yeah.
But he's a baller. I mean, I'm sure everybody watched the Bama game. He just plays like kind of like Manziel, just backyard football, extends plays, just always seems to find the right guy, limits turnovers. He's just a winner, and these are the type of quarterbacks in years past that we make look like Heisman candidate guys. So I'm hoping that we play him well with our defense and contain him because we haven't really faced a. I guess Van Buren was kind of a rushing quarterback. I guess Hawkins was too. So maybe we have faced rushing quarterbacks, but Pavia can do both rush and pass, which is the first that we've seen. I guess Van Buren's a good passer too, but that was his first start. But that's an interesting challenge. He also leads them in rushing as well. I saw Eli Stowers leads them in receptions, the A&M transfer, kind of a flex tight end position he plays for them. But yeah, their offense is it's good. I mean, they're averaging like 33 a game, explosive. They'll go deep on you. So hopefully our defense is ready for that challenge. Defensively, they're not the Georgia defense, that's for sure. But I think they're giving up like 22 points a game, so they have a formidable, respectable defense. I know Bama kind of skewed the numbers that game because Bama was able to score and fight back in that game. But just up and down, this team, and Trevor was saying this before the phone call, they're just they're a tough team to play, and they lost to Georgia State early in the year. They lost to Missouri, but then they beat Bama Then they won at Kentucky, which is not easy to do, and they beat Ball State last weekend. So they're kind of surging. They're hot. They're at home. It's a sellout crowd. I know it'll be probably 50% Longhorn fans, but still, it's an unfamiliar environment, and that spread, like you said, just seems way too big. So I would definitely hammer Vandy on that if I had to bet it. Hopefully, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we cover, we come out. Sark said we have something to prove now, and I hope that we go out and prove whatever we have to prove. So, um, interesting game. It's just kind of cool, kind of really getting to the meat of the SEC schedule now. Georgia, Vandy, and we thought this would be a cupcake coming into the season, but it's definitely not. So hopefully the team's prepared for it. I mean, Makuba probably going to be out. He's listed as doubtful. Trey Wisner's probable. So our secondary needs to hold up. That depth is getting tested now with Williams gone, and now Makuba probably out
Yeah.
till after the bye. So
Yeah. It's kind of hard to make sense of this team, Vanderbilt. I because I can't really figure them out. Like they're from what little I've seen and I've read up on this team is they just seem that in these wins that they're getting, that they're just coming together and playing very complete games. Like offense is scoring just enough points, they're dominating time of possession. And then defense is just able to make plays and keep, teams to, not scoring a ton of points. Like you said, the Bama game is kind of the outlier, both in points that they gave up and points that Vandy scored. I don't think they've gone into the 40s outside of that game. Could be wrong about that, but um, I mean, Pavia's definitely a problem. Um, possesses, you know, an ability to both run and pass very well. Um, and they just seem very motivated. Um, obviously, not the most, that's all pretty surface level, thoughts about
yeah,
the team, but
we're yeah,
I'm not seeing. I mean, it's not like a Georgia where it's like, oh, they got this guy and they got this guy. It's like, and that's not making fun of them. Like that's, if anything, that's a celebration of Vanderbilt that they're able to, without a bunch of stars, put together, a very complete team that's actually doing pretty well right now in the SEC. Um, Texas should be able to handle them pretty well, but at the same time, they got up for Alabama. Maybe that's, hopefully that's a good thing for our team is we're not going to just take these guys lightly. Bama probably did that and just assumed, oh, it's Vanderbilt, whatever. They lost to Missouri the week before in a close game, but um, anyway, yeah, those are just kind of some initial thoughts. Like you said, first road SEC game for Texas, so this season at least. So that'll be something. I know that Vanderbilt's not the most imposing stadium out there in the SEC, but um, people will be hyped up to play Texas. It is Nashville, and um, students definitely are turning out more than they have in previous years. So I don't know. It'll it sounds like an insult to Vanderbilt, which I don't mean for it to be, but this will kind of be like going back to the Big 12. Like this almost feels like a Big 12 type match. Kind of a again, it's not meant to be offensive to Vanderbilt. Like they're doing really well, but it's kind of like just a scrappy team that's dominating time of possession in an environment that's not the most imposing, but can be surprisingly imposing on our team. So kind of feels like a Big 12 road game where Texas just needs to handle business. Um,
yeah.
but again, watch that come back to bite me as I say that.
Oh yeah, like and we lost a lot of Big 12 games over the years. It kind of yeah, I
Right,
like it's like you're going into McLean Stadium to play a Baylor team when they were pretty good with like
right.
Matt Rule or something. Like it's not and we're better now than we were then, so we should handle it. But like, you just never know. I like that comp. I like that comp a lot. And they do have a veteran offensive line. I forgot to mention, nothing but seniors on that O line. That could, whenever a team has a veteran O line and a veteran quarterback, they're not going to beat themselves. It's cliche, but it's true. Unless it's Quinn Ewers last week against Georgia, but that's worrisome a little bit. But I trust our defense in this spot, even against the dynamic quarterback like Pavia. They proved themselves last week. But yeah, I think it's kind of crazy that it's going to be a sellout in that stadium. It's so like, you just think of that stadium as being empty and full of the away team's fans. But after they
Right.
beat Alabama, it's the best year they've had in years and years and years. So I expect it to be kind of hostile. I would imagine that I mean, it's Texas coming to town. It's a pretty big game. So hopefully our players are prepared to, face some hostility, because I would imagine the two Ivies of the SEC facing off. This should be like a rivalry or something. Two smart schools, but looking forward to it.
Yeah. Should should be interesting. Like we were hinting at earlier, however Texas plays in this game is going to be very telling of what kind of team we have here, and how Quinn, plays in this game will be very telling of the season. I mean, in fact, this is make or break for him. If
Yeah,
Quinn has another stinker and Sark goes to Arch, I think that's it.
that's
That's all she
yep.
wrote. Which is wild to say out loud, but I think it's the truth. Um, but if he gets back, back on track and everything, then yeah, like we'll be okay. And I think we got a nice little runway going up to leading up to the A&M game at the end of the year. So it's kind of this is this is all chips in for him.
Yep. And it makes it nice that we took care of business early in the year against Michigan and OU and even Hail State, because it allows you to take that loss to Georgia and still be okay long term. So hopefully Quinn bounces back. But yeah, I want to get that taste out of my mouth, dude. I haven't been on Twitter or on like YouTube or anything. I haven't listened to any podcast since the Georgia game. So I've been in the dark. Like, I just found out today that Seth Luttrell was fired at OU because I haven't been on anything.
Yeah.
So I just want to get that win. And hopefully, like, we respond like a championship team would respond and go out and roll. But we're about to do our predictions here. I don't think Trevor nor I expect that. So we'll see. Hopefully we're wrong.
Yeah.
But
Let's get into the predictions. Do you want to lead off for me?
I can go first. I see this game going a lot like the Houston game last year
It's a
after we
good
lost
comp.
to OU. We're angry. We're angry. You poke the beast, and then we just kind of let them get back into it. Quinn goes down. I don't know if Quinn's going to go down this game, but something funny happens and it becomes a nail biter at the end. But we ultimately pull it out, and we're just happy to get out of there with the win and move on to the following week, the bye week. So I got Texas winning 31-27. I hope we go in there and blow the doors off this team, because that would be a great sign, because Vanderbilt's a good team, and they've not been blown out this year by anyone. And obviously we're probably not going to blow them out, but would be nice. Would be very, very nice. So Texas 31, Vanderbilt 27.
Yeah, it's funny because as we were entering our scores into the document, you were like, "Oh, you took my score." I have Texas 31-24, so
Yeah.
very very similar to you. Um, Basically, win by a touchdown. I mean, yes, what needs to happen and what should happen and what you would expect would happen from a top five national championship contender team is following a loss. This is a get right game. This is a, get back in rhythm, and offense puts up a lot of points. Defense is flexing. the opposing team, and everything kind of gets clicking again. It's what you'd expect. That's what you'd hope. And I'm kind of at the moment, I'm like, prove it to me. Because right now it's been multiple weeks. In fact, you could even argue that really ever since Quinn got hurt against UTSA, our offense has not been very good. Even with Arch in, um, okay, maybe exclude UTSA, but Mississippi State, OU, and then Georgia, Texas has not been very good on, or they haven't been bad, but they haven't been impressive on the offensive side of the ball. And I think have kind of lacked an identity there. So until they change it, I'm kind of uh, anticipating that the same things will continue. I hope that's not the case because that'll make me very upset and will make Texas fans upset and will probably, lead to a QB controversy and all kinds of negative stuff for Quinn, which I know that we talked negatively about him, but obviously we don't want that for him or for the team. Um, but I don't know. I'm kind of feeling a bit pessimistic right now. I have us winning because I think we are clearly the better team, and I think our defense will be able to carry. They always say defense travels. Um, I think they'll be able to carry us and keep Vandy under 30. Um, the only problem is, can we score 30 at this point? I don't know. I would assume yes, because this isn't, an elite defense. They got some guys for sure, and they'll put up a fight, that they will, but I don't know. I think we'll find a way to be able to squeak out a win here, but it'll probably be a closer game than what it should be. Hoping for the opposite, but I got us winning by a touchdown in a I think the Houston comp was fabulous, actually. Um, that's definitely kind of the game that I'd envision. Um, and I hope it's not the case because I hated that game last year. So
Yeah, same. But yeah, no, I agree. It's so frustrating to see our offense with all the players we have and the experience we have just play so lethargic and just
yeah,
dysfunctional. It's so frustrating, especially with Sark as our offensive coordinator and play caller. Like this should be just like a cheat code offense. Like there's no reason it shouldn't be, and it shows signs of that. At least with Arch, it showed signs of that briefly, but it's never. There's always something wrong. So hopefully we clean that up this week and play our best offensive game because Vandy's defense is solid, but definitely not Georgia's defense.
well said.
Mhm.
Well, any other final thoughts? Food for thought, parting shots before we
Uh,
wrap this thing up.
Now let's just get this win back and get the Kool-Aid back in our systems because it's the way that we lost to Georgia. If we would have lost in like a heartbreaker, dogfight, that would have been
Yeah.
one thing. The way we just got whipped and out, just Quinn looked horrible. It was just a tough one to swallow. That's why we're sounding a little bit down right now. But like I've said, this is wide open for
I
us.
mean, even the OU game, I haven't been on the show in a while, but even after we beat Oklahoma, I didn't feel good.
Yeah,
Like I know it wasn't a contest and we held them to 3 points and they didn't score a touchdown and we put up, over 30, but I did not like watching that game.
yeah,
Because our offense was so pedestrian.
yeah. I know. Yeah, there were so many. Yeah, yeah. Don't even get me started. I agree. I agree. This is the week it all starts getting fixed and
Yes.
smooth, and
We
then we
gotta
start.
we gotta put it out there. We gotta put the good mojo, the good vibes. Texas is gonna do well. Quinn's
That's
gonna do great. He's gonna find his groove again, and this little nightmare is just a little skid on the season.
that's right.
Quinn
That's right,
bounces back and then avenges Georgia in either the playoff or the SEC championship. Say it right now.
sir. I see it. I see it so well. It's gonna happen. So it starts Saturday in Nashville. horns by a million.
There we go. There we go. Get that pessimism out.
That's
Well,
right.
thank you guys for watching. I know it's been a bit of a longer show, but obviously we had a lot to say. So please leave a comment below and engage with us. Let us know your thoughts about this game, and as well as if you have any solutions for what's going on with the Texas offense right now, because clearly we need something. But yeah, for myself and Myers, y'all take care. Horns up. We'll see you in the next video.
Welcome.